my death. If it was such a mess for the people I love, or soon won't forget me, but I'm staying alive just to see you roll your eyes and sigh. If you got nothing to prove, then tell me why would you do this? Holy roller, don't go wasting all your time praying for a sign. 'Cause I'm burning out faster than a candle in the night. I'll be gone before sunrise. Tell me again how you lost all your friends. Tell me when did it start and when will it end? 'Cause I see no wrong if you were to tag along. But don't bother fixing your hair, holy roller, if you got nothing to wear. Holy roller, don't go wasting all your time praying for a sign. I'm burning out faster than a candle in the night. I'll be gone before sunrise. Sing na 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 na, sing na 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 na. Oh holy roller, don't go wasting all your time praying for a sign. There is a death that I never thought applied to me. Till I got to your bed and now I'm on top of the sheet, falling on my knees, choking on the air that you breathe. Let me out the corner, make me think that I'm in control. I thought you was a kid till you started hissing, scratching at me like I'm a post. If I let your daughter push me underwater, can I fall asleep with the ghosts? If I let your daughter turn me to a martyr, is Jesus gonna save my soul? Oh, oh, oh. Holy roller, don't go wasting all your time praying for a sign. I'm burning out faster than a candle in the night. I'll be gone before sunrise. Sing na 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 na, sing na 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 na. Oh holy roller, don't go wasting all your time praying for a sign. Holy roller, sing na 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 na.
Live for the World Cafe, The Format with Holy Roller. It's a song from their new album, Boycott Heaven. I'm Raina Duras, joined by The Format's Nate Roos and Sam Means today. Nate and Sam, welcome to the World Cafe.
Hello.
Hello, thank
So
you.
happy you're here.
We're so happy to be here.
I know.
Again.
It's wonderful. We've had some bagels vibing at the World Cafe.
I am very excited to talk about the guitars that we just heard on that song in a second, but I want to go back first to a big moment for you guys. It's been about 2 decades since you released The Format's last album. And a few months ago, you played your first kind of reunion show in Phoenix, Arizona for a sold-out audience of 13,000 people. How did it feel stepping out on stage for that hometown show? Like, what was going through your mind when that happened?
It was just, I mean, for me, it was just like out of body, surreal. I mean, it sounds so cheesy, but it was like walking out there and just seeing all those people, just no words. It just was crazy.
It was silly. I've been there before. I've done that before. But I remember I literally kept being like, wow, I don't think I even ever did anything like that in Fun. Like, it's just, this is crazy. And then our manager, who was our manager in Fun, was also just like, well, you did it at Merriweather and you did it at this place. And I was like, you know what? No, this is more important. Because like we never had a number one song. We never had anything that would warrant that many people, and it sold out even before the tickets even went up. So
Yeah, it sold out really fast.
it was a proud moment, but I'm always terrified to walk out on stage. So,
Really?
yeah. So it doesn't matter.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't enjoy it. That's why I didn't do it.
We were a mess. we were a mess.
Well, you mean emotionally?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We would constantly check in with each other via text, just to see how the other was doing.
Like right before in the run up to the
frantically
show.
rehearsing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were very. We wanted to be very, very prepared. We took it very seriously.
We did.
We did. We still do.
Yes.
We do. We
Well,
care.
I know the reunion itself was kind of a long time in the making. Like you were supposed to go out March 2020. Obviously, a bunch of stuff happened at that exact
I don't remember.
moment. Yeah, I don't really remember it, but I feel like some stuff was going on. There's a pandemic. There was the wildfires. Was there ever a point where you guys were like, maybe we should just forget it?
I mean, yeah. When I thought for a second we were cursed when we started working on the new record. Yeah, the wildfires happened then too, and it's like every time we try to get together and do anything
Day
fun,
2 in the studio.
yeah, anytime we try to do anything with this band, something horrible happens in the world. I'm starting to feel bad about it.
Well, it's interesting because the album's called Boycott Heaven, so you're just like, well, wait
Yeah.
a second.
I think Brendan O'Brien, our producer, at some point in time was like, next week there will be locusts.
If you keep playing.
Yeah, this is like biblical proportion.
When was it that the new album started to emerge? Because you were planning to tour and play some shows. Were they always hand in hand, or did the album
In 2020, you mean?
Yeah.
No. Sam had kept hitting me up and being like, I don't want to do. I was like, let's do some shows, and Sam was like, I don't want to do shows unless there's an album attached to it. And I was like, I don't write music anymore. And he was like, come on,
I was like, I beg to differ.
you got to write music. And I was like, no, I'm not doing any more music. I don't want to do that, but I'll do the shows. And I'm just really stubborn. So that ended up working. And then somehow those shows got canceled. I for whatever reason, I was very relieved that those shows got canceled.
Yeah, they didn't seem right. I mean, it at the time, it seemed a little forced, maybe.
Yeah, it definitely seemed forced. But then cut to a few years later, and I was bored, and I started writing songs. So.
And did you know they were going to be a format record at that point?
I didn't know what they were. I just taught myself how to play guitar. And so I was just really excited to be sitting in my home studio. And I also learned to record myself. And so I was just sitting in my studio while my kids were at school, writing songs with big heavy guitars. And as I had started to finish these outlines of songs, I was like, oh, this would be an awesome format album, because so much of big heavy guitars, that's when we met. That's what it was. And
what you were listening to, do you mean?
Yeah, when we were as in the children of the 90s, that's what we just love. I mean, I still think that good alternative music to me is what I'd rather listen to than anything.
Yeah.
So that's mainly just a lot of grungy type of stuff from the 90s. For whatever reason, it's what I always find myself putting on constantly throughout all the years. So yeah.
Why did you decide to pick up the guitar finally? Has he been making music for a long time? Why did you want to play guitar all of a sudden?
Because I'd always just loved the instrument, but when I write songs, I just write songs in my head. And then I'll sing it to people. And a lot of times I'll write parts, I'll sing parts that are supposed to happen and stuff like that. And I just loved the guitar. I wanted to hear distortion.
Yeah.
I really wanted to hear distortion. I feel like we never I don't think we were ever really hyper distorted in the format and in Fun. And so I was just I'm turning up the distortion. I'm being a dude and like just like seriously, for lack of a good term at all, I'm rocking out.
I heard an anonymous tip that there's somebody who was helping you learn to play guitar. A pretty big name.
Yes. Wait. How did you catch? Oh, was it Charles? Yeah. When I first picked it up, weirdly, Santa Barbara, you just meet a interesting gamut of people. One of those people was Buckethead, and we had mutual friends. And he's just a very sweet, very sweet person, and just a gentle, like, giant of a human being. Like, I've never met anyone who is just like you. He could cut you off. He could cut off your sentence, and then he would apologize for weeks. Yeah, I know, it's awesome, and we'll invite him over for dinner. One time I cooked him salmon. I'm not very good at cooking salmon, but he was like, "This is the best food I've ever had." Just the sweetest, most awesome person. And I said, I bought a guitar. And he's like, well, let me teach you. And so he came over, I want to say twice he came over. I've even got a notebook with like even the first few pages of him scribbling down like stuff. And then I was just like, I can't make him teach me.
Do you remember one of the first songs that you learned to play? Like somebody else's song that you wanted to learn to play?
Yeah, it was Built to Spill. Game of Pricks was like the first song that I wanted to play because it was like simple. And I was like, that's got to be the first song that you should learn. I mean, it's not even like it's that simple, but that was the first one. The Lemonheads, If I Could Talk, I'd Tell You, was another one. I want to say, yeah, those were kind of my two early ones. And then I started like getting into like all the pop punk stuff that I've been like, that we listened to as kids, like NoFX and stuff like that. And I learned the power chords and I just like embraced them, and I still embrace them, and I'm trying to get better.
Right. But there is a kind of freedom that comes, like a creative freedom that comes with being brand new at something. How did that shape the sound of the songs on the record?
Well, I guess like when we talked to Brendan and I'd be like, well, I'm not going to record this part. He'd be like, no, you have to record it. Like, you sound awesome. I think it's just like an ignorance is bliss type of situation. Like even some songs, like maybe chords aren't supposed to go where they're supposed to go.
Yeah, that's what makes them great. I mean, I always love, I love how things turn out when you're sort of stretching the boundaries of your musical abilities. That's like the story of my life. I definitely love, I would love to be better at things, but I also like things that happen accidentally because I am trying to do something that's above my wheelhouse. So I thought that part of it was really fun. Lots of really cool, just like dynamics in the songs and the chords and stuff.
I'm thinking of a song like Depressed, where if you want to talk about dynamics, I feel like it really goes through a whole bunch of them. Like there's parts where it feels like almost like Weezery, then there's screaming, then there's like a bossa nova break in the middle of it.
That was a perfect example of why I wanted to make a format album, because the last format album just was a little more eclectic and theatrical musically speaking. And I felt like that was just something that we always did really well, was wrote interesting bridges. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I got to get Sam. I saved a lot of bridges, and I was like, well, Sam's like just so good at writing like bridges and kind of helping take yourself out of the song a little bit. Because at that point in my songwriting journey, I was just like, bridges, who needs them? Every song should be 2 minutes and all this other type of stuff. But with Depressed, that was one of the first things we started working on. Together. It just hit perfectly. We knew that it was going to be that type of part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew exactly what he wanted in those situations, like reporting for duty. I know what you're looking for. I get the references. Let's do it.
Let's hear a bit of Depressed. This is the format on World Cafe.
Sometimes I get a little bit depressed. Sometimes I get sometimes I get a little bit depressed.
That's The Format with Depressed. It's from their new album, Boycott Heaven. We're going to hear you perform another song live now. Could you tell us about Shot in the Dark?
Shot in the Dark was another early one that I learned because I think it's only 2 chords. And I was, before I even bought like a proper amplifier, but I just started strumming it at one point. And I was like, oh, this sounds like a Rolling Stones song or something. It obviously progressed a lot, or degressed. I love the Stones, so regressed. But
Yeah, I did not. I was like, sure, regress. That's degress is a word.
yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I write songs. I write words. But I think that was just a song that was one of the first songs that I'd started writing for the album. Again, I had an open bridge, and Sam just wrote another just killer bridge to the song, and then really good leads because, I don't know, I was just kind of reminiscing. I guess I was reminiscing a little bit about what we used to do and how my mom was so depressed when it had ended.
Really? That's
Yeah.
okay. I've been wondering what that line is about because that's sort of what I kind of thought maybe this song was about, but I couldn't place what that line would have meant.
Yeah.
She was really upset.
Oh, it was, well, because I'm not qualified for anything else. So, so when it ended, it was like, what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do? You barely graduated high school.
Yeah, she called me at one point and I was like, he's going to keep doing this.
Oh.
He's very good at this. He's going to keep doing it. He'll be fine.
Yeah. So the first verse is about that. The second verse is just about having met my wife, and I'm not going to cry, so it's fine.
Let's just listen to it, and we can all cry together. This is Shot in the Dark, live for World Cafe. It's The Format.
Me and my friends, we used to fall apart and piece ourselves back together like a work of art. Oh, mom was a mess, she took it way too hard. I left it tucked in the drawer just like a birthday card. Oh. How would I know when these days just come and go? How would I met my friends, we used to fall apart and piece ourselves back together like a work of art. How would I know when these days just come and go? How would I know I get all this love from just a shot in the dark? Well, hey, hey, in the dark. Well, hey, hey, in the dark.
Live for the World Cafe, The Format playing Shot in the Dark, a song from their new album Boycott Heaven. I'm Raina Duras chatting with Nate and Sam today on the World Cafe. We're going to talk more about the new album in a minute, but I do want to talk about what you guys have both been up to since the last Format album 20 years ago. Nate,
Yes.
you were in the band Fun.
Yep.
You released a solo album in 2015. You've done a lot of songwriting for other people like Pink and Maroon 5 and Keith Urban. What did you learn about yourself as a songwriter by working on songs for other artists?
That I hate it.
Really?
Oh, it's awful. It's the worst situation. I just caught a moment in time. I do believe that so much is predicated on luck, and I do believe that so much of my success is predicated on luck and being in the right place at the right time. But there was a probably 1 or 2 year period where whatever I did, I just couldn't miss.
Yeah.
And the rewards are very nice when that happens. So I was like, okay, I'm going to keep doing this. And then it was like, but it's just miserable. You sit in a room with people, and I'm a lyric guy. I like to go away to my room for like a couple of weeks and not come out until I've written like lyrics. And you sit there with these people and you're like, what should this song be about? And it's like, breaking up. And it's like, well, I don't know your experience. Like, it's just very weird and seedy.
How does it compare to, working with Sam on a song?
Oh, I'm actually doing it now. So I seriously had to stop. I was like, there came a point where enough was enough. I started taking my name off of songs and using a fake name. I didn't feel like a creative person. I just felt like someone who had the answers.
It's probably hard to be sincere if you're trying to put emotions into something on behalf of somebody else.
Yeah.
And put your name on it. That I would imagine would be tough.
Yeah, that's not what I love about music.
Well, you've also you've been featured singing on songs for other artists. And this is very special because it's probably the only time this has ever happened or will ever happen on this show. You're featured on a song with me. And,
That's right. That's right.
It's called All the Bubbles in the World.
Yep.
We recorded it for Pixar's Sodas, a film audio play by the podcast, episode 1. I can't believe I'm playing this right now, but it sounds like this.
What are you
Awesome.
doing?
How can a humble soda ever live her dream?
All the bubbles in the world, all the boys and all the girls. The power of soda is the power of friends in a carbonated dream where fun never ends. I used to wonder, how does it all make sense? How can one soda make a difference?
So that is All the Bubbles in the World. That is me, Raina Duras, with Nate Roos of The Format, who's here with me today, along with Sam Means of The Format. Nate, would you say that working on that song was the highlight of your career so far?
I know that the people who wrote the song are going to want me to say that it was a highlight. Would you say that being a voice actor in Bubbles was a highlight of your career?
It was absolutely the greatest thing I've ever done.
See, that's what I'm saying. We are both somehow bound to say that.
Yeah, we have to say it. Nothing bad will happen if we don't say it. I promise.
Someone said, "How do you know Raina?" And I said, "It's just some weird niche. I don't want to explain it."
Well, and this is okay. So let me just quickly say, you have done some songs for podcasts that are funny, and you host a podcast as well.
Not so much these days.
You
but
you did for a while,
Yes.
called Claimcast. What is it that drew you into that world? I mean, we met on Twitter in this sort of group of people who do this stuff. What do you enjoy about that universe?
I love those people. It's generally the type of people that they are. I'm very happy to be back. This is a good example. I'm very happy to be back in the format because they're just like-minded people. There's normal people. I think they believe in all the right things or all the things that I want to believe in. And so once I had a kid, because there was probably some dark years after the format where I was living much more selfishly. And not that, I write songs selfishly, but once I met my wife and had a kid and you start learning that it's not about you, I somehow got turned on to, I think, some of the right podcasts and really learned a lot about how to treat people. And it changed my life. Like, I think in all the right ways. I think that it changed how I look at the world, and it changed, like how I treat people, how I view people in general. I like air travel, I still have a complete disgust for human beings. Disneyland, still have a complete disgust. But the rest of everything, I really do love people because of that. And in that world, there are small pockets. I guess it's on Twitter. And there's these other niche podcasts, and there's really funny people that don't have some sort of mainstream outlet. I think we probably think the same people are just beyond hilarious. And I still can't get over them. And I'm happy that one day I just signed on and I became friends with them and, traveled to see them and stuff like that. And now I get to sit here with you. It's just, it's awesome because I know you're a great person. You heard it from me first.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We're going to make that the tagline for the show. I am sitting here with Nate and Sam of the format. First of all, thank you. That was very nice of you. Sam, during the time between the last format album and this one, you also released music solo.
I did a little bit, yeah.
And you did some film scoring.
I did.
And you run a very successful merch business.
I do.
Called Hello Merch.
Yes.
And I'm curious about that because as a musician who would have had to buy merch for your band, what did you want to make sure that you were doing differently? What made a good...
Well, that's kind of how it started. We were having problems with merch, and that was one of our, after we got dropped, we were very much self-funding everything, and merch was such a big part of that, especially in those days. So we were having problems with people that we were using, so we ended up just getting a couple friends together and sort of just doing it ourselves like we had been doing everything else at that point. So by the time the format stopped, a bunch of people had asked, who do you guys use? We're also having problems. So I just sort of, I guess, pushed that concept into a bigger thing. And the idea was just to help people who were struggling and not getting paid. There were not a lot of independent merch companies at that point. There were a few, but I don't know, it just seemed to be a pretty widespread problem that was easy to fix. People need merch, they need to get it when they need it, and they need to get paid so they can keep doing this and it can be sustainable for them.
It feels even more important now.
Yeah, it's actually sort of a bummer because I've seen a lot of merch companies kind of rise up over the last, it'll be 18 years in April that I've been doing that. And many of them have gone away, so just when you kind of think it's getting better, it still kind of sucks out there. So that's why I still do it. I love doing it. I love just helping as many bands as we can help. And we try to be super affordable and make sure we're reliable and bands are getting paid. That's the most important part.
Yeah. You also both became parents.
Yes.
Since the last format record. And Sam, I want to ask both of you this question, but Sam, I'll start with you. How has being a dad changed you creatively?
Creatively?
Personally,
a lot.
too. But...
Well, it really did change me a lot. I feel like in a lot of ways it... especially kind of coming back into this, and Nate just shared a similar sentiment of just kind of learning how to be a different kind of person in a lot of ways. And collaboration is one for sure. And that was one, my daughter's very creative. She's 16 now. She just turned 16 and she's very creative. And from, the minute she could do anything, she was drawing, we were playing games, we were writing songs, we were doing everything, just all across the board. And as a parent, you're wanting to just be like, no, this is not how you do it. This is how you, kind of teach her, I guess. But then at a certain point, I realized, I don't have to teach you how to do this. You have to, this is something that you have in you. and I just need to help you find it within you. And that's, I guess, a perfect way to think about writing songs and working with adults as well. Is like,
Yeah.
you're just really trying to help whoever you're working with find the idea that's in their head, or find the idea that's just out in the universe to be grabbed. You know, a lot of people explain it like that, like you're just sort of reaching out and grabbing something. It's given to you. So I think having a creative child certainly helped me come back 18 years later with this dude and just be like, I'm just here to help. I'm here to do whatever you need me to do. And I'm very willing, and I'm very just psyched and happy.
Nate,
What?
how did it change you?
He disagrees.
How did it change me creatively? I just think that I view things just a lot less internally, and it's made me just see things externally. And it's also maybe not take it so seriously, because even now we're starting a week-long tour, and I love to have my space, not for any sort of dramatic reasons, because it's just nice to have space occasionally, especially when you have 3 kids.
When you're old.
However, I miss them so badly, and it's only been day probably 4 or so. I'm counting the days until we see them again, and I'm just trying to not think about it too much, even though my wife is constantly texting me about our water heater being out. And I'm like, lady, I can't do this right now.
I'm on the road.
I have to record this song. But yeah, I'm ready to get back to the stress and finally figure out what's wrong with our water heater.
Yeah.
I'm dying to know how that's going to pan out personally.
And we need the updates. Please update the show.
Okay, that's fine. I'll do a call in and I'll let everybody know.
I stopped you from telling the story before we started recording, but I have the date, November 19th. Nate, you tweeted that you got your first "I hate you" from your son, who's about 8 or 9. You said you were surprised it took this long. What prompted it?
Oh gosh, it's always video game related with these kids nowadays. I'm pretty sure that he had done something. Usually it's like sneaking chocolate or something. And I think it's the end of the world. I'm like, what? We're raising just kids that are going to be so awful and so bad. And I actually had lunch with our producer, Brendan O'Brien, a few weeks ago, and I was explaining it and just being like, I don't know how I can do this. He's stealing chocolate, and he's like, I just stole chocolate last night. And I think about it, and I'm like, wait a second. Yeah, I might have stolen some chocolate last night too. Like, just like you hide it somewhere, and the kids are like, Dad, you're not allowed to have chocolate on weeknights either. And you're just like, they go to bed, and you're like, go up there. And it's the same exact situation that he does.
Yeah.
But I think I was like, no video games on Saturday, because that's the day he gets to play video games. And he was like, I hate you. And we kind of patched it up like fairly quickly afterwards. I think I had to explain, it must have been something else, because I think there was some sort of miscommunication. And I was like, buddy, you realize you told me you hate me, right? And he's like, I felt bad right after I said that.
Aw.
And he's amazing. So he can, that's why I feel comfortable even like letting that out into the world, is because
He is truly the sweetest kid on earth.
he'll tell me he hates me, and I'm like laughing, and I wish that I gave it a little more. I wish I could like let him feel like he really dug the knife in.
Yeah.
I should have been like, boo-hoo.
He's going to be like Buckethead, where he apologized for like 3 weeks. Some small slight.
Yep, exactly.
My guests today are Nate and Sam of The Format. Their new album is called Boycott Heaven. There's a song on Boycott Heaven called Right Where I Belong. You don't sing about water heaters in this, but you do sing about love, about brushing teeth and tying shoes. It's kind of like an ode to domestic bliss.
Yeah.
Could you tell us about this song?
Yeah. I mean, it was just a song I'd written for my wife. Her name's Charlotte, but her middle name is Julia, and Julia sounded better phonetically speaking. And yeah, I don't know why I want to cry all the time. I think I think
You're a nice guy.
I think you hit like 42, and you just want to cry about everything. But I owe her the world. And so the least I can do is give her a song.
This is Right Where I Belong, live from The Format on World Cafe.
move. New York brake lights, shine your shoes. And we don't say much, 'cause what's left to prove? If I'm ever getting old, then I'm getting old with you too. So come on, hold me like a thief in the night, and don't let go of me, girl. I'm not your type, but you have shown me how to smile. So if I'm ever gonna die, no, we ain't ever gonna die. It took my whole life to build this home. All the love lost and nights spent on my own. I traded my voice and shame for a good can of pain. It took my whole life to build this home, but now I'm right where I belong. Julia, what did you do? 'Cause now I'm waking up sober, brushing teeth, tying shoes. And I don't say it enough, love, the way I feel for you. The words are hard enough to write. Now that I found you, I don't even try. Oh, high. 'Cause it took my whole life to build this home. All the love lost and nights spent on my own. I traded my voice and shame for a good can of pain. It took my whole life to build this home, but now I'm right where I belong. The scars aren't showing up in light. It's 'cause you make the time to take away the bruise. I thought we'd end it too, but now they're all growing just like vines. Funny, I never meant to mean that much to you. Okay, well that's untrue. Took my whole life to build this home. All the love lost and nights spent on my own. I traded my voice in shame for a good can of pain. It took my whole life to build this home, but now I'm right where I am, Julia. When you move, New York brake lights, shine your shoes. We don't say much, 'cause what's left to prove?
Right Where I Belong, performed by The Format. Nate and Sam of The Format are here today on World Cafe. I'm Raina Duras. Their new album is Boycott Heaven. Nate, and I'm sorry that Twitter's coming up so much here, but I remember at one point your Twitter bio read, "I'm retired, leave me alone." And I think about that a lot because I thought there was something that I really respected, and I liked the honesty, and I found it refreshing. You have these huge hits with Fun. You kind of take a step away from everything at a time when I feel like a lot of people would feel like they have to like take advantage of this moment. What was your thinking behind that decision? Have you always been good at just like saying no?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm great, and it only got better the more I guess success I was able to achieve. That was having a bunch of like hit songs or all that stuff. That was never the end goal. Mm-hmm. The end goal was always you hope that you play like a 3,000 seat venue for the rest of your life, a theater or whatever, and you have enough money to like just make rent and, or, you know, or maybe buy a house and do those type of things. And it's your full-time job. And that sounded amazing to me.
Yeah.
Like that was the life. And so to get all of that and more, it was just like, okay, this is great, but if I'm not enjoying it, I don't need to do this. I'm not driven by, I'm a weird dude. I only want to do what I want to do. And so if I'm not feeling it, I don't care. I remember there was like a offer to tour from one of those big touring companies, to get like the next format tour. And it was $1 kajillion. And I just remember just being like, okay, I don't care. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I'll think back when it's time to change the water heater, you know, that's when I'm like, oh God, I should have just stuck it out another 6 months. But no, I could not be happier with where my life has ended up. I'm so lucky in every way, shape, and form.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like even as the format, like you guys have always been sort of smirking at the industry in a way. I mean, the name of the band, the format, is kind of a dig at like the music industry's like need to make every song or every band a format. Naming your first single, the first single, and your own label being the Vanity label. I mean, it feels like at every step
It's a lack of creativity.
Self-aware.
It's like, I don't think we're into names. I don't think we're like, I think it's like, I hate naming songs. And so we just caught a wave of just naming things what they were at face value. And one of those happened to be our band name.
Yeah.
It's cool how you kind of accidentally stumble into things like that, though you realize like how thematic you're being without really trying, and then it just becomes weirdly an important part of your history.
Yeah. My guests are Nate and Sam from the format. Does coming back to this band for both of you and writing and playing with somebody who you've known since you guys were in grade school together, does that help ground you artistically?
I mean, yeah, to me, it's the most comfortable thing in the world. There was the few things that I did do sort of in between these last 2 format records, very difficult to do with anybody else. I just felt like, I always felt like if I was writing a part or doing anything, I always wished Nate was around because he's just a perfect person to work with.
Well, tell me about that, because you've mentioned how like you like to help make an idea real, Sam. What does it look like when, you know, say Nate sends a demo and then you're in there and you're making it into a song together? Like, what does that process actually look like?
I mean, it's been so different over the years. I mean, with this one was very different too, which has made it unique and special kind of in its own way, where, like he said, he was learning guitar and writing demos, and I just sort of showed up after the fact. And honestly, I didn't know that I was helping him make a format record at first. There was a point where it just, there was a conversation where it was like, is this a format record? I think it is. Let's just keep it. Yeah, it is. It definitely is. Let's keep doing it. But yeah, I mean, it's just very, I've said this often, I feel like a broken record at this point, but just felt like the gap in time in between the last time I worked with him and 18 years later almost felt non-existent once we got in a room again. It just felt normal and comfortable. And it wasn't like, it was a little intimidating maybe going into a studio with Brendan and even working with Nate because he's so accomplished in everything that he's done since then. But then even then, that's just the anticipation is always the worst part for both of us, like the anticipation of anything new. And that was a new element of it.
Sure.
But by the time you get in there, you just realize like, oh, this is just Nate and Brendan's really cool. And this is just going to be an awesome experience.
We're going to hear one more song today. We're going to hear you play the song Boycott Heaven live. The phrase Holy Roller shows up a few times on this album. It's in the first song we heard you play called Holy Roller. It's also in the opening track, No Gold at the Top. And it's in this song. What was it about the term Holy Roller that captured your imagination? Why did you keep coming back to that?
More than anything, it's a phrase. But at one time I heard a podcast about the Holy Roller situation, like the movement. I think it was really just a mass hysteria, like type of situation from the early 1920s. And I just always loved, again, the words together. They sing. It's just really fun to sing those words. I don't know. I think I just found a way to link it through the album. I think I've invented this person that I don't even think I know. But I can see who they are, like, very, very clearly, but I do not know them. Yeah. And I think a lot of times I'm like somehow writing about this person that I was supposed to meet or like have yet to meet.
Before we hear the song Boycott Heaven, is there anything else you'd like to tell us about it?
This one actually is cool because I flew out to Phoenix to work with Sam, which I'd always be worried if I wouldn't tell my parents. I didn't want to tell them. My parents live in Phoenix. I wouldn't even tell them.
Why?
Because
we had limited time. We had,
they'd want to hang out.
It's
Or
not
would
even
they be
that.
excited that this was happening?
Yeah, they would know about it, and then they would ask questions.
Oh, yeah, because you hadn't even told them that we were working on it, huh?
No, I told them nothing. But and then I'd be worried that I'd run into someone, and they'd be like, "Why are you here?" But I was in Phoenix, and I had a song, and Sam was like, "Oh, well, what about this bridge?" And he had a song, and he was singing it. He'd sent it, and I was like, that's not a bridge. This is a whole new song. And just give me a couple hours. I was in my hotel room. I was like, give me a couple hours. I was so energized by how good this song sounded. I said, just give me a couple hours and I'll just finish this thing off. And weirdly, yeah, it was one of those things where I was so inspired to do it. And yeah, that first verse of Boycott Heaven, that was a Sam demo that I was like, I'm taking this and I'm running with it.
Yeah. It sounds so cool. Like the guitars sound great in it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. This is Boycott Heaven. It's the format live on World Cafe.
I will pray to the paper, but the people on the way there, just a distant memory. On my throw the baby with the water and anoint your sons and daughters with some ancient history. Holding on to something, letting go of nothing, holding on to something to believe in, something to believe in, something to believe in. Oh, it's a long line, and it bleeds into the pavement. 60-something words to save them from this recent misery. So eyes wide, you will never see the truth. The many ways in which it's proved all of the people you knew. Holding on to something, So let it go. 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 You gotta let it go.
The Format performing Boycott Heaven, the title track to their new album. I've been hanging out with Nate Roos and Sam Means of The Format today. Thank you guys so much. It's been so great having you here.
Thanks,
Thank
Raina.
you. It was awesome.
I'm Raina Duras, back in a moment with more World Cafe.